The Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, will officially approach the Constitutional Court this week to delay October's local government elections. It's taking the advice of former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke. He found free and fair elections will not be possible during a pandemic. The ANC is supporting the application, but opposition parties are not being as supportive. The DA says there is scientific evidence that it is possible to hold the vote on time. Govan Whittles is looking at all the arguments and joins us now for an update from the Constitutional Court. Govan, thank you. So let's start with the litis dominus in this matter, the litigants who are leading the direction, as it were, the people who are setting the tone, the Independent Electoral Commission. How do you sum up what their main arguments are?
Well, Tilasizwe, their arguments could be summarized in their belief that any approach to Parliament asking for an amendment of the Constitution would not only reflect badly on them as a Chapter 9 institution and set a precedent of Chapter 9 institutions instructing Parliament how to amend the Constitution, but could also be undemocratic as it is applying to Parliament for an extension of the Municipal Council's terms of office and essentially extending the term of office of all local government through such a application or recommendation to Parliament that it should amend the Constitution. It would set a bad precedent according to the IEC, and this is interesting because the court papers reveals how it was concerned about its status as Chapter 9 institution and what it would look like for them to approach Parliament, whereas initially they had been very concerned about the time it would take for Parliament to process such an amendment to the Constitution. And it says that it's on that basis that it believes that the Constitutional Court is the correct platform to take this application, and it doesn't agree that it is reading the Constitution's provisions in a contradictory manner instead of complementary manner, as the DA alleges. So the IEC is still saying it's willing to defend its arguments here in the Concourt, a lot of it based on the right to life and the report by former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke, which found that free and fair elections would not be possible. The IEC saying it's willing to defend the scientific evidence as well that will be presented here after the DA presents its own evidence of how it believes it can go ahead.
It's an interesting argument that they are presenting, Govan, is it not? Because in a way, they're basically saying that we are a creature of the Constitution. We can't act outside of the bounds that the Constitution has set for us as a Chapter 9 institution. That's an interesting argument, and I guess we will find out how far it goes when they actually present it before the justices of the Constitutional Court. But what exactly are they asking the justices of the Concourt to do, Govan? Is it a matter of, the Constitution provides that an election should be held within 90 days after the expiry of the term of office of a local council? Well, basically, you should override that. Or are they asking for an interpretation that says it is possible to grant an extension?
It's not only the interpretation, but it's an order which would extend the local government elections to February 22, while explicitly stating that the original terms of office still apply, and this is only an exceptional extension which would be granted to the municipal councils. And going further and basically reversing the closure of the voters' roll, which was activated by the promulgation of the local government elections by the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department. So essentially, the IEC is asking the Concourt to come in here on an exceptional circumstances and agree that the COVID-19 pandemic has forced it to hold the elections in February 22, and granting of such an order would protect fundamental rights in the Constitution, while at the same time making sure that the original terms of office of local government are not tampered with, in recognition that this is an exceptional circumstance which doesn't necessarily affect the original terms.
And Govan, my layman's sense is that they've got a steep hill to climb here. And if it was steep to start off with, the IEC, that is, if it was steep to start off with, I suppose the Democratic Alliance and others who are opposing this are basically placing boulders on that steep climb. What with the argument that says what the IEC is asking for is simply impermissible.
Not only impermissible, but the Democratic Alliance saying it would weaken the Constitution. Let's have a look at the people that are on the other side of the table here. It's the Democratic Alliance, AfriForum, the Institute of Race Relations, and One South Africa joining in the opposition to this application. And that is not only based on their assertion that the scientific evidence allows for elections to be held in October, but more primarily that a dangerous precedent would be set by allowing the judges of the Constitutional Court to extend or to move the election date and thereby extend the municipal terms of office of these councillors without an amendment to the Constitution. And it is particularly worrisome, according to the opposition, that the IEC has approached the Constitutional Court without first going to ask for that amendment of the Constitution. And the precedent here that the Democratic Alliance is worried about is that if the Constitutional Court then allows for this elections to be postponed to February, it would mean that the Constitutional Court they're taking the power to change the Constitution, and the Democratic Alliance fearing that in future government departments that are constitutionally obliged to perform certain functions may purposefully neglect those functions with the intention of approaching the court and asking for some relief. It's a precedent that the Democratic Alliance says has far-reaching implications, and one that South Africa cannot afford, especially while it still has Parliament and the ability to amend the Constitution.
All right, so the stage is set then. It will, I think, intriguing, fascinating. Those are perhaps understatements there, Govan. It will take the proverbial Solomonic wisdom of the justices to actually see how they navigate around what is in black and white a provision that stipulates very clearly that within 90 days of the expiry of the term of office, there should be an election. That's eNCA's Govan Whittles. He's out at the Constitutional Court building up to that hearing. And Govan telling me that that hearing is now set for this coming Friday, where we will hear the arguments for and against what the IEC is seeking to do. In fact, let me